Let's start. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Okay, now
Yeah.
with respect to the question that had come up, just a minute. Yes. Since people are not muting themselves, I have to mute everyone. If you want to ask a question, you'll have to unmute and mute. Okay? Unmute and ask. Okay? Duality is an experienced fact. No one can deny that. Now, in the vision of Vedanta, all that is there is one non-dual reality. When you understand that, cognitively see that there is only one underlying reality, then you understand that what you talked about as a reality before, that experience fact, is not really a fact, it's only experiential. Meaning, it's only perceptual. It's only what you're seeing and experiencing. Now, the word experience is used because everybody uses it. But what is experience but your perception, your cognition of something, and the emotional response to this? Your emotional relationship to something that you have seen. That's all that you call as experience, whatever experience it is. Okay? Yeah. 5 sensory experiences, meaning 5 sensory perceptions and your response to that. Thinking response, emotional response, both. That's all that we call as an experience. Therefore, the experience of duality is only perceptual. You see it, and out of your ignorance, you take it as real. Whatever is seen is taken as real. And we know very well that everything that we see is not real. The whole pursuit of science came up because of that. What you see is not real. You see a flat earth, you question that, not real. You saw a rising sun. For years, because of the Bible and Western religious literature, they thought the sun rises and the world is stationary. Until that was questioned. The moment that was questioned, the whole thing changed. So, we know that our perception and our experience is not always real. Even at the level of Vyavahara, I am talking about. Vyavahara is flat earth, round earth is also Vyavahara. There itself, our perception, our experience is disproved. But at the same time, nobody can say we are not walking on a flat earth. Can we say that? But the difference is, we don't have that avesha, that conditioning of the flat earth. In all our discussions, our understanding, etc., we take the earth as round only. So when you say flat earth is perceptual, it means what? It's not really there. It's not really there. The fact is round earth. The sun doesn't rise. It is the earth that rotates. At the same time, you can enjoy the rising sun or the setting sun. That doesn't change reality. Similarly, as said, out of ignorance, you create a sense of the other. I cannot create a sense of the other unless I take myself as a finite being out of ignorance. It's only when I take myself as a finite being do I have a sense of the other. Is that getting clear? Yeah, okay. And yeah, you have a question, Kavita?
Yeah, Swamiji, that's why when we understand Mithya, those three things become very important to understand what you
Yeah.
explain, Satya, Purusham, and
Yeah.
Anupam, because then that.
Without Mithyatva Nishchaya, it is difficult to understand Satyam. And unless you get some insights into Satyam, you will not understand what is Mithya. Complete Mithyatva Nishchaya happens only when you know the Aham Satyam.
Swamiji.
Yeah?
Yeah, Sunita. So that means Ishvara Srishti and Jiva Srishti both are Mithya, no?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. So Ishvara Srishti is as it is, and Jiva Srishti is when we add our own Raga Dveshas to the same thing.
Ragadvesha is your perceptions also.
Your perceptions plus emotions.
Yeah. Perceptions,
Okay.
emotions, likes, dislikes, judgments, cultural backgrounds, religious backgrounds, everything is loaded. See, a human life, we have made it so complex. Who sees a simple world? It's always colored by all these. It's always colored by all these things. Yeah.
So what is exactly Ishvara Srishti? What is only Ishvara Srishti? Like our loading, I understand. What is like Ishvara Srishti?
What you see minus your loading. Now I am giving you a very, is this Ishvara Srishti or is this Jiva Srishti? My water bottle.
Water bottle must be Ishvara Srishti, and I like the red color is Jiva Srishti. Is it that?
Why? Who made this water bottle? Ishvara or
A
Jiva?
human. Jiva.
So in a way it's Jiva Srishti, right?
Yeah.
This is not how we use the term Jiva Srishti. Even though it was made by an individual, the material is from where?
From the world, from Ishvara, high
From,
elements.
Exactly.
from nature.
From Ishvara. Nature means Ishvara.
Yeah, means nature.
The color also from Ishvara's combination. That I could shape this particular metal in this manner, that potential Ishvara. So whatever really added, Namarupa,
Namarupa.
that much I've added. But look at it. This bottle is a water bottle for everyone here. Does that change? For
No.
everyone here, this is a water bottle. That is objective reality. Vyavahara Satyam. Correct? Ishvara Srishti. Now, where does Jiva Srishti come in? You said that, Sunita. I like the red color. I don't like it. It is too heavy metal. All these judgments that I have, this is what we are calling Jiva Srishti. The subjective component I add to an objective reality. So even though this is technically made by a human being, a jiva, but because of its complete dependence on Ishvara Srishti, we still call it Ishvara Srishti. A human being, you're given birth by your parents, So, Jiva Srishti or Ishvara Srishti? Ishvara Srishti.
Ishwar Shrishti.
Because a mother who proudly claims and throws it on the children's face all the time, I carried you for 9 months. Have no clue, absolutely no clue how the child grows in her.
Yeah.
Gynecologists don't know much. They know something enough to help you. Even gynecologist knowledge is limited. Then how does that mother, poor mother, know? Ishvara Srishti at work through a nimitta of a human being, of two human beings. They are only nimitta matra. Nimitta not as nimitta karanam, nimitta as instrumental. Upadanam, nimittam, both is Ishvara only.
Yeah, of course.
Now on this Ishvara Srishti called human being, how you perceive that human being? Jiva Srishti is loaded.
Yes. Yes, yes.
All Jiva Srishti gets loaded on it. Your perception. Asian, European, Indian, Britisher, beautiful, not beautiful, young, old, all this is loaded. Lot of loading comes in by the other people's perception. Because of the upbringing, there is lot of loadings by myself. My own self-judgments are there in the picture. My own mental conditions, my own samskaras, my own karmas. So, when I say Jivaha, there is an Ishvara Srishti here, there is a Jiva Srishti also here. All this is Ishvara's order, no doubt about that. Therefore, Jiva Srishti is not a separate thing from Ishvara Srishti. That's what I want you all to understand.
Correct.
Yeah. Kamini, it's okay. I know you understand. So, it is a loading that happens. Jiva Srishti is loaded on a subjective loading on an objective entity. Very difficult to really separate out the two. Especially when you are dealing with a human being. Because that person's own conditionings, cultural, social, upbringing, parental, familial, all those conditions are there. How I see myself as, how somebody else sees. That's why they joke about this, no? One is how you see yourself, one is how the others see you, one is what you are. All at the Vyavahara level, okay? That is why for a student of Vedanta, it is necessary to have a high degree of self-awareness. Self-awareness spoken of from the physical, emotional, intellectual point of view. Not self-awareness as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. Oh, time hai uske liye. Even before that, you need a high degree of self-awareness in terms of your mind and emotions, your thinking and feelings, your conditionings is necessary. Otherwise, I mean, who thinks he is subjective? Tell me, any person here thinks I am subjective? No, I am very objective. Everyone says I am objective.
That itself is objectivity.
Your objectivity starts by recognizing that you are a subjective human being. So now can you completely get rid of your past and your conditionings? Your past culture, can you get rid of it? A South Indian can stop drinking coffee, but can he give up his love for coffee? Coffee, filter coffee. Can he? Or a Gujarati for sweets, because the doctor has told him he may stop eating sweets. I yet have to see a Gujarati has stopped eating all sweets. But can he give up his love for it? No. As long as it remains a background of your culture, it is fine. As long as it remains as a background and not a conditioning, it is okay. Because your background is what gives you your personality. Conditioning limits you. So as long as you take it as a background, keep it as a background. And not be conditioned by it. You're fine. For that, the first level is what? Self-awareness. Then you have to work on it. Yeah. Whether I have my Tam-Bram conditioning, Mandu conditionings, no, cultural conditionings, it's all there. As long as it remains a background, it's fine. If you look at me, I have very complex backgrounds. My Mandu background, my Bombay background, my Rishikesh background, my sailor background, my soldier background. क्या लेंगा? If I am going to let all that condition me, I will be a mess. I will be worse than the American ABCDs. American born confused desis. I'll be worse than them because I have so much of exposure, so much of conditioning. So they're not conditioning, they're only background. Then there is no problem. So I can use it when I want to. When I want to identify a little bit with the Mandu background, when I go to Kerala, I do that. When I'm with the modern liberals, I can take a very secular standpoint. When I am in Rishikesh, I can be a total fuckard if necessary. Total sadhu. Bombay, I am a Mumbaikar. Me Mumbaikar like. So, if it is only in your background, you can use it when necessary. If it is your conditioning, that is what you become. You can't avoid the background. You can avoid the conditionings. How? By working on it. By seeing the limitations of it and seeing that's only a functional standpoint. Am I making sense to all of you?
Yes, yes.
Yes, Swami.
Swami. Yes, Swami.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So this is the Jiva Srishti we are talking about. It's not a small thing, it's a big thing.
Swamiji,
Yeah?
isn't this not connected same to the Drishtasya Srishti and Shrishtasya Drishti?
In a way, but these are the nuances of that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
don't make it block. You
Correct,
don't make
yeah.
it as a block. Yeah.
Yeah. Lot to do with Shobna Adhyasa, right?
It's got to. All these are different facets of the same thing.
Same thing, yes, yes. Thank you. I understood. I just like to get it
Yeah.
little in my mind like that. Thank you.
So this is where the whole thing comes in. So it's something that everyone requires to work on. I said this long back, and I even asked you all to read something. I don't know how many of you read it. Hook Prather, there's a book called Personhood. I said it both in my Thursday class as well as Bandra class, long back. Notes to myself, notes to each other on personhood. Sunita Savla is remembering it. हाँ बोला था ऐसा कुछ.
Long time back in Kamini's house, you have told this.
I said it in many places. Yeah, in Kamini's house when you are having that class. Kamini Satyayani, yeah. Because there are two Kaminis here now. Okay, correct. So this is where the whole thing comes in. On being a simple person. So that to get in touch with the simple person first, only then you can move around to your roles very comfortably. Then to understand that simple person is nothing but that awareful being, the Sakshi, the witness of everything. Then to understand that Sakshi, that awareful being is nothing but Ishvara. Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. But you know what we are trying to do? We are trying to straight away jump to Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman without really getting in touch with the person or the awareful being. That's why people are struggling. We justify our conditionings. To feel strongly or deeply about something is not a conditioning. To let it rule your life is a conditioning. So now this can become a very good excuse for everyone. Samjhi is not a conditioning, I only feel strongly about it. You also said that it is okay, no? Yeah. That is why we all have blind spots, areas which we don't really see about ourselves. You know, we all have that. We all have a blind spot. In psychology, what we call this is bad breath area. If you have bad breath, you don't know you have bad breath. Somebody else has to tell you. And who will tell you? They will be very polite if at all. Even if I'm not going to go and tell somebody, hey, you have bad breath. I may hint at that. What did you have for lunch today? Did you eat some garlic? More than that, can you tell somebody? Unless you are college buddies in college, then you can say very hard this thing. Hey, you stink here. What happened? What are you doing? But after that stage in life, very difficult to be that blunt, no? That's why it's necessary to get feedback from friends and take it honestly. Not like this lady who asked her husband, do I look fat in this dress? Oh my God. Whatever he answers, he has added. No, not at all. You never tell me the truth. Yeah, I think you look a little bit fat. You're saying I'm fat, you're accusing me of putting on weight. I've been exercising so much and being careful. You had it. So I tried to be diplomatic once, and said, no, you're not fat. You're pleasantly plump. That is also bad enough. So when I get statements like this from people, when you get such a statement, you have to take it as a feedback and examine. I'm not saying you have to be ruled by what people think. That's the big problem in India. What will people think? Therefore, we always put up fronts. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about taking feedback seriously from a close friend, from somebody whom you know cares about you. You're sure this person cares about you. From a mentor, from a teacher, from a guru. All this, take it seriously.
Yeah, well-wisher.
Well-wishers, yes. Take that seriously. Don't get upset. If you are getting upset, that means a raw area has been touched. That's all it means. That's all it means. There is some truth in it. So, Jiva Srishti, it's a big thing. It's only when I relatively drop some of these things and become more objective. That means I have Vairagya. This is Vairagya. Okay? This is Vairagya with respect to my own self-judgments and my own subjectivity. We always take Vairagya with respect to things and people, Because in the initial days of study, that's how it is presented also. Because you are judging yourself on the basis of the things that you have. Therefore, that type of vairagya is good to have in the beginning. You drop that. You don't judge yourself by your name, fame, position, wealth, etc. You're more objective toward that. That's good. But what about these ideas inside? It is like this joke, In Brish Candy, two guys used to always cross each other. One guy used to tell the other guy, "Me Mumbaikar." As "Me Mumbaikar." So the other guy didn't know what to say because Bombay has been renamed as Mumbai and he doesn't like it. He still prefers it as Bombay. So after 2 days, this guy thought of a good response. So when that guy said, "Me Mumbaikar," he said, "Me South Mumbaikar." Can you see that subtle element of self-judgment coming in just because of a place of residence? If you look at the newspaper ads, don't shift north to Ghatkopar, shift south at the same price. Lower Parel. You will find advertisements like this to sell a building. But my factory is in Thana. Why should I be shifting to Lower Parel? Ghatkopar Thana is only 15 minutes on the highway. But no, I want to live there. Why? Then I am successful. So your success depends upon a location of where you live. Oh my God. And I had people tell me, Samjhe, Lower Parel also we consider suburbs, okay? Worli and beyond is suburbs for us. Which world are you living in? This is subjectivity to the extreme. So like this. So it's very easy for me to just look at people and identify where they come from in Bombay. The way they talk, I will be able to tell you where they come from. That's why sometimes I find it very difficult. I don't have anything to ask a new person when I meet him. Where are you from? Then I already know. I already know. अभी क्या पूछेगा? That's why most sadhus become very silent and quiet, except when they are teaching. So, this type of subjectivity that we have is all Jiva Srishti. And this is the one that creates issues in my understanding of myself. That is why sometimes a politically correct language has to be introduced. Of course, overdoing that political correctness can be a big problem. Like, will you say vernacular languages anymore now? That the word vernacular has a condescending attitude. We'll say regional languages. Languages confined to a region. There are some Tamilians here. How do you like if I describe Tamil as a as a vernacular language? Tamil is the oldest language in the world. There is another kind of subjectivity. So, when we say we are following the Jnana Marga, खाली सुन के जा रहा है और कुछ नहीं कर रहा है. You're only listening to the truth. Only Shravana Matram is the sadhana. Yeah, that sadhana involves all this. The sadhana is much more subtle. Much more subtle than all the harder sadhanas that you will do. Yeah. Much more subtle, isn't it? It is like, okay, from my background I am talking now. There are hard form martial arts which you see on the TV and all. Karate, Taekwondo, mixed MMA, all this hard form, Gadamar theory. Compared to them, we practice internal martial arts. We say we are much more subtle. We work at subtle levels. Why? Because you are working on internal energy, on your tendons, and there's not on the gross big muscles, etc. So you are subtle. It's a greater sadhana. So similarly, you can do lot of practices, etc. Sadhana, in the name of sadhana. Whereas in Jnana Marga, what sadhana are you doing? Some japa, some dhyana, that's all, no? Nothing more. At the most, थोड़ा भक्ति बढ़ाने के लिए थोड़ा पूजा भी करेगा. Like this Shivratri, we are going to have some function. It will be all announced. Just to encourage some bhakti bhava in everyone. So some puja, etc. But this sadhana, cognitive, we say Vedanta is a cognitive process. Everyone blindly repeats that because you heard it somewhere. Everyone will say it. All my students will say it. What is your cognitive process? This, correcting this, all my subjectivity, etc. Which my background, which is now a conditioning, I have to decondition and keep it as a background. Otherwise, in any different background, you will be miserable. Like the people who travel abroad with their cooks with them, or travel to Badri Kedar with their cook along, tagging along. वह हमको घर का खाना बनता है Kedarnath. Where are you going to Kedarnath? I remember this group from Ahmedabad went on a South Indian tour. Now they are all my Guru Bhai students. Huh? They are all vegetarian. And South India, as you get vegetarian food everywhere. There is a lot of non-vegetarianism in South India, especially in Kerala and some parts of Tamil Nadu, Telangana, etc. There are. But South India, vegetarian food all over South you will get, not a problem. And if you are particular of without onion garlic, generally it is without onion and garlic anyway. But these people travelled carrying their cook. And then they came to the Coimbatore ashram. So a couple of my students are also there in that. Not my students, son and daughter-in-law were there. And one student was there. So I asked them, hey, you went to South India, and I know they enjoy South Indian food. So मजा आया कि नहीं South India tour में? So this boy says, स्वामी जी ये कॉफी पीते हैं ना आश्रम में, ये हमारा पहला कॉफी है. हाँ? You travel for 2 weeks in South India, didn't have a coffee? ये पहला कॉफी है. हमारा कुक साथ में है. हम कुछ बाहर का कुछ खाते ही नहीं है. I am not joking, this is a true story. And their teacher is a big Mahatma, my batchmate. In fact, when we were in the ashram, we used to always ask each other, what's your background, etc., so that we'll know each other well. No? He said, oh, I was in New York for 8 years. I said, wow, you're working in New York for 8 years, you must have been able to get a chance to pick up a lot of the culture, etc. Because in New York, you have political there's museum, you have the works there. You can get all types of exposure, including the pubs and things like that. Everything is available there. All types of stuff. Said, no, I never did anything. I just went to the Chinmaya Mission classes, my work and home, nothing else. I said, you wasted 8 years in New York. Where is your exposure coming? Travel is supposed to give you this deconditioning effect because you get exposed to different cultures, this, that, etc. But if you are carrying your home with you, I mean, you have the freedom to do it, of course. Nobody is questioning that man's freedom to do what he did. Nobody is questioning that. You have been in London for years and never had high tea, the British high tea. That's the only meal worth having in England anyway. It is high cal, deadly stuff. You can skip dinner after that if you have their high tea. If you have not done it at least once, what are you doing in London? All baked goodies, okay? So what I am trying to say is the way of deconditioning. One of the things, cultural deconditioning, etc., is exposure. That's why we had yatras and things like that. Because in yatra, you are not carrying your cook and your food with you. Say yatra. Though nowadays you do. You go on a yatra to Kedarnath with your cook, and at Rudraprayag he is sitting and cooking after reaching there. 2 hours you have to wait for him to make khichdi and give it to you. Whereas hot roti and sabji is available in all the dabbas. Vaishnav Bhojan is available. I am spending some time on this Jiva Srishti because I want you all to understand exactly what the whole thing is about. It's not a simple thing. your background in terms of your professions. Another thing. If you are a doctor, for example, can you look at someone's high BP problem apart from the medical aspect of it? He's just getting hypertension, just started. Can you think of solving that issue without medication? But as a doctor, I go, I'm a doctor, I'm supposed to give medicine. Correct? But are there alternatives that you can try before you start the medication? Very difficult to look at it because you're conditioned by your knowledge of medicine. It is good to have that medical background. I'm not saying no to that. But to not be good to be conditioned by that you will dismiss anything alternate as hocus pocus. Forgetting that it is that hocus pocus that built a civilization that lasted more than 6,000 years. People were healthy enough to build it and lived long lives. So these conditionings are this. Okay, I think I have spoken enough for people to have a good idea what Jiva Srishti is and what they should be working on. That's more important. What they need to be working on. Because Jnana Marga means this. Cognitive changes I bring in. I look at my conditioning, my cognitive conditionings, my perceptual conditionings. And because it is perceptual, it is easy to change in some ways. When new information, new ideas come in, I can change. Little bit my emotional resistance I may have to drop. That is why I have to recognize my conditioning also as part of Ishvara's order, that deconditioning also as part of Ishvara's order. Then that resistance will not be there. Otherwise you will be like the Khap Panchayat or the mullahs living 2 centuries back. Ideas. None of you in Bombay and we don't get these exposures to speak to somebody from a Khap Panchayat. Bahut maza aata hai. Yeah. Their orthodoxy in this. Or sit down and speak with a mullah on what is right and wrong. Or with a sophisticated padri who will present the same arguments of the mullah but in more sophisticated language. As bad as the Khap Panchayat, I'm telling you. But more sophisticated, more westernized. So presented much better. Or an orthodox priest from the Hindu traditions. Or a Jain sadhu. And look at those conditions that are there. Not to blame them, to see that if they can have it, I too can have it. They are a little bit extreme versions. You may live that lifestyle because of a choice. Like the Periyar of Kanchi, old man, Chandrasekhara Bharati. He lived a very orthodox life. Really orthodox. But when you talked to him, you knew he didn't have any conditionings. Because you could talk freely about anything with him. People never used to do that, that's a different thing. Because of their awe of him and his lifestyle is orthodox, so don't say these things. But I have said things. My teacher has said things. Yeah. No big deal. Making sense to all of you all or no? Okay, then let us go ahead. Did we see the 8th verse also last time? We saw that as well. Okay. Now he said, Karma karyastu anityaha syad avidya kama karanaha. All that we saw elaborately. Pramanam veda evetra jnanasya adivgame smitaha. We also seen somewhere, I want you all to recognize where, the 4 results of karma. What are they?
Sorry, Swami. For what?
4 results of karma.
Can create,
You get
modify.
what you expected more than.
No,
what
no,
you,
no, no, no.
desired.
Kavita, no. That's not what we are talking about.
This Utpadyam, Samskaryam,
Utpadyam, Samskaryam, and
gamanam,
Gamanam, and
Gamanam.
purification.
Vikaryam.
And
Samskaryam is purification. Vikaryam, modification.
Vikariam.
Yeah. Therefore, Atma cannot be modified, purified, reached, or created. Therefore, none of the karma or karma phala can give you moksha. Utpadyam is to create. Atma is not to be created, it's already there. It's not Vikaryam, it doesn't have to be modified. Atma cannot be modified from finite to infinite. It's not Samskaryam, it cannot be purified. Your mind can be, but not the Atma. Body can have Vikaryam. You don't have to do much to have Vikaryam of the body anyway. With every passing year, you put on 1 more kilo at least. Vikara happens. So people go about saying, this is my lockdown body. No exercise, everyone put on a bit of weight. Vikaryam, Samskaryam, Gamanam, to reach, it only is away from you. These are the 4-fold result of karma. All karma results will come unto this. Here or hereafter. Vaidikam, Laukikam.
Can you elaborate?
Who's that? Yeah, Vijayalakshmi. Can I elaborate?
Yeah.
Look at it. Any karma that you do, what are the things that you are doing? You are cooking something, you are creating something. No? That's creation. Utpadyam. You grow some vegetables. Utpadyam. Vikaryam. You will take that vegetables and modify it into kuta or undio or whatever. Vikaryam. Modifying it. Samskaryam. Before that you will purify it, wash it clean, etc. Disinfect it also nowadays. Samskaryam. Or Gamanam. You want to reach somewhere, you will go. Any karma that you do, the result will come under these 4. Vedic karma also. You are creating punya by a karma. You are purifying yourself by a karma. Samskara it's called.
Antakarana Shuddhi.
Like ghee has to be purified by the wife before it's offered in the homa. How does she purify it? Just by looking at it.
Yeah, bring to it.
How does that happen? It's esoteric, so don't question how. Okay. Probably those good days, the lady's eyes were very sharp. If there are some impurities, they would pick it up. Samskaryam. Gamanam, reaching. Heaven, afterlife, after death, you are going to reach there. So, Vedika karma or Laukika karma, this is it. All things that you will do and will follow under the 4. None of them is applicable to the Atma. Therefore, karma cannot solve this problem. Jnanam tasya pramanam vedaha. That's how the whole thing goes. Okay. Then the 9th, did we see the 9th verse there last time?
No. We have to do the 9th.
Yes, but the 9th was very simple. Okay. Jnana ekhartha paratatvam vakyam ekam tato viduhu ekatvam hi atmana jneyam vakyartha pratipattitaha. Okay. Here it says Jnana eka karya paratvam paratatvam Tattvatam. Tam. Jnana Aikya Paratvam. The purpose of the whole Veda is only to give you Jnanam. But Swamiji, the first section talks about all rituals, etc. The first section talks about all rituals. Yes. Why? Because my mind is bogged down with the other priorities. Dharmartha Kama priorities, my mind is bogged down with. Therefore, it gives you options to speed up you getting your priorities fulfilled. Our priorities are fulfilled by our worldly actions, isn't it? You want to create a certain amount of wealth to leave behind for your kids, etc. All right. Your worldly actions will give you. Along with that, worship Lakshmi, do a Lakshmi Homam, Navalakshmi Homam. To do that. So it will enhance it. You will get it faster. So once your priorities are taken care of, the Parama Purushartha of Moksha will come up in your mind. You are struggling to get a child. You have tried all sorts of stuff. Now you are trying IVF and things like that. Do Putra Kameshti, etc. Why? You'll speed up the process, you'll get a child fast, and you'll say, okay, now I am satisfied, I have a child, I'll bring him up. So that your mind is freed up, priority is taken care of. So your worldly Dharmartha Kama priority is taken care of faster, speeding up. And if you do it with Ishwararpana Buddhi, Prasada Buddhi, etc., then your mind is completely free. Then the Parama Purushartha of Moksha opens up. You still have some priorities to take care of. That's okay. You can take care of that. That you can always take care of. There is no problem. Those priorities you'll always take. That's part of the game of life. That is called Karma Yoga lifestyle. But at the end of it, what? Parama Purushartha Moksha. And how do you gain moksha? Jnanena. And that jnanam is revealed. Can you all see me, hear me, or no? Can you all see me or hear me?
I can see you. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes or no?
I do see. Hear you, Swamiji. That's what I said.
Look at yourself, Swamiji.
Okay, now I think it is clearer for people.
It's showing mute, Swamiji.
Yeah, I think now it will be fine. Is it okay now for all of you?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, good. All right. By 12 o'clock, usually the sun starts giving some trouble. It reminds me of my friend. Up to 12 o'clock, it works fine. After that, it starts giving some. See, it's 12 o'clock.
The Sardarji time.
I don't want to say that. So that way, all right. Therefore, jnana eka paratatvam, he says. Okay. Vakyam ekam tato viduhu. That's one vakya only. What is that vakya? The Mahavakya. Okay. Tattvamasi iti. All the Mahavakya Ekam. Ekam hi Atmanaha Nyeyam. To know that only one Atma is Vakyartha Pratipattihi. That is the intention of the whole Vakyas. That means what? The whole Veda, he says, the intention of the whole Veda is to reveal you as what you are, to make you come to this knowledge. First section, to give you Ishvara Jnanam, Karma, Karma Phala, Prasada Buddhi, etc. Therefore, you can grow and have fulfilled your priorities. Then, Moksha Ekam. Along with fulfilling your priorities, you can come to that second portion, the Upanishad, come to understand the truth about yourself. That is the purpose of the whole Veda, he says. Therefore, moksha, that's why moksha is always presented as Parama Purushartha. Dharmartha, Kama, Moksha as the four Purusharthas. Purushena Arthyate iti, that which is desired by for people. At the level of priorities, Dharmartha, Kama. And moksha is also desired by people, though not very often discerned in the beginning, and therefore moksha is presented as the Parama Purushartha, the absolute Purushartha. Over and above the three, like I always told you all, 100 priorities will reduce to half a dozen priorities. 100 desires will reduce to half a dozen priorities. If you go behind the priorities, there is only one moksha ichha. So really speaking, whether you have fulfilled your priorities or not, if you gain moksha, they are as good as fulfilled. But it is difficult for people to move to moksha directly unless some priorities have been fulfilled. Therefore, we focus on priority based life, which is what Karma Yoga is about. And once you gain that, you get the, along with fulfilling your priorities, you will get a mindset which can understand things better. A mind which is free from ragadveshas, etc. And therefore come to moksha. That jnanam can take them. Therefore, Vakyartha Pratipatti, he says. This knowledge is the meaning of the Vakya. It's the sentence alone that gives you this knowledge, nothing else. No amount of sadhana will give it to you. Sadhana is necessary, like I talked, the whole first hour I talked only about the cognitive processes of taking care of your Jiva Srishti. That is sadhana in Vedanta. What else is the sadhana? That is the sadhana. Creating more conditionings is not the sadhana of Vedanta. Vedanta sadhana is this. Jnana marga. No? People think it is easy. Kya khali sunne ka hai? If you are only listening, nothing will happen unless these are taken care of. So if these things are taken care of, then you know your subjectivity, etc. is taken care of. You are living in the world as it is. In Ishvara Srishti you are living. Colored by your Jiva Srishti, which makes it fun. But only colored, not conditioned. Not conditioned. And therefore he says, then Vakyartha Pratipatti. But that's not enough. You have to arrive at the true meaning of the words. The Tattvamasi has to be very clear. That is why even someone who is living with such objectivity, Hastamalaka, Nitya Upalabdhi Swarupoham Atma. He went along with Shankara to learn. How much teaching would you think Hastamalaka would require? One unfoldment of Tattvamasi would have been enough for him. Only Nishtha he wanted actually. Insights he had, some clarity and Nishtha he wanted. So, that is what all of us need to do. And if you are not getting that clarity, refer back to what I said in the beginning of the class. Not beginning, up to now. Up to a few minutes back what I said. That is what you need to work on. Okay, now. Vakyartha Pratipatti. Okay, Pratipatti. You know, when we say Vakyartha in Sanskrit, word and meaning, generally that's how we take it. In Sanskrit, we look at it as a little more than that. Vakyasya artham, bottle, water bottle. There is an artha, an object for the word. So the word bottle reveals the object bottle. The object that is meaning for the word, correct? When you say book, the word book reveals an object here. So it can be an object, a word. It can be a quality. Red color. Color is a quality. Okay. It can be a function.
Function.
Cook, doctor, lawyer, engineer. Function. These are all words. Person is there, all right, but they are referring to the person through the function. It can reveal a relationship. Brother, sister, husband, wife, father, mother, guru, sishya. These are all words denoting relationships. Like if somebody comes and asks me, are you a guru? What do I say? The guy doesn't know me. I'm not a guru for him. So generally I say to my students, yes. What else to say? Like once I traveled to Kerala. I was going to Shabrimala, so I had the beard. It was after I had gone on my voyage to the, in between the course. So anyway, I had a beard. And because I had to go on that voyage and come back, and it was a civilian voyage. Out at sea, I made a sankalpa that I will grow my beard until I go back to the ashram. Offering to the Lord. So it was grown. By the time I came back, it was really a full beard, much fuller than this, at least 3 times this size, or at least twice this size. Then I went to Kerala, landed up at Alvey station, because my village is a bit close from. And the previous day there was a big riot and a protest by some padris over some Christian issue there was, and there was a big riot and protest. So all the cops in plain clothes were looking around for fathers. The word for father in Malayalam is Achan. So he looked at me, I had dark clothes, because I was travelling by train, dark clothes are better to wear. Okay. It doesn't show up dirt so fast. And it takes 1.5 days to reach Kerala anyway. So this man comes up and asked me, Achan Ano, are you a father? So father has got dual meanings, no? I said, not yet. He saw the humor in the words. At the same time, he is a cop, remember, but he has not declared himself as a cop to me. So he cannot say you are disrespecting a policeman, because he is not declared. He is in plain clothes. So he asked me, where have you come from? I said, I come from Bombay. I am going to Shabrimala. I just landed up from the train here. Oh, okay. So the word, okay, father, it can denote, it's denoting a relationship, whether it is referring to the priest or to the father-son. It can denote a group, Men, group, jati. Woman, jati. Jati is not caste, okay? Jati is group. Don't translate jati as caste. Wrong translation. British mischief. Jati means group. Carpenters, group. Potters, group. Jati means group. Guilds. So, Nama Rupa Guna Kriya Sambandha. Jati. These are the things a word can reveal. Correct? Is there anything else? Planet, an object. Solar system, a jati. Solar system is a jati. It's a group of planets revolving around the sun. It's a jati. Can you see how the stupidity of translating it as caste? Jati is a set, what we call in mathematical language as a set, as a group. All this is what words reveal. Does the Atma fit into any of these?
No. No.
Then how do you reveal it by words?
By implication.
So when you are saying, we use an implied meaning, we say
Laksha.
an implied meaning cannot exist independent of a sentence. But the implied meaning is beyond the literal meaning of the sentence.
Correct.
Therefore, when you say beyond the words, etc., do you understand what is meant? The meaning beyond the words is gained by what? By the words themselves. Vakyadeva avakyartha pratipattihi. Vakyadeva avakyartha pratipattihi. By the sentence alone will you get the meaning which is beyond the sentence.
Beyond the sentence.
This is a very important point. Without this, again, Vedanta will not be understood. Beyond the word, therefore, you can have a different philosophy altogether. Transcend the mind business. All that nonsense can come in. That means when you use a word, there has to be minimum and artha. Artha can be fall into any of these. And for the word Atma, is there an artha? Is there an artha for the word Atma?
No.
I am Nitya Upalabdhi Swarupaha. How can you say no? How do you say no? There is an artha, Atman, I. There is an artha, I. Now the question is, what is that I?
That I is I only because you say then it's a jiva, right?
So is that Ishvara Srishti or Jiva Srishti?
It will be jiva srishti going into Ishwara srishti coming into jiva srishti. And so both. It's both. It's like that. How
The Nitya Upalabdhi Swarupa Atma is Ishvara Srishti?
Swarupa of the Atma is not created, so how can it be a srishti?
Exactly. How can it's Ishvara himself?
Yeah, it's not created.
Are you getting the point now?
Yes, yes.
How you fall into that trap of Ishvara Srishti, Jiva Srishti? It is not a Srishti. It is the only reality that's there. Ekameva Advitiyam Brahman. This is the meaning of the Vakya. Avakyartha pratipattihi Vakya deva bhavati. Mahavakya Artha is Ekameva Advitiyam Brahman. And that is avakyartham, not an object, because it happens to be I, the subject as well. It is free from the conditionings of subject and object. It is free from subjectivity, pratibhasikam, free from objectivity, vyavaharikam, therefore called the absolute paramarthikam. Now you are understanding the meaning of the three words. Pratibhasikam, my subjective reality, Jiva Srishti. Objective, Vyavaharikam, Ishvara Srishti. What is beyond them both? Paramarthikam, the absolute reality, Ekameva Advitiyam Brahman. That is the subject matter for the whole Veda. That's what he had said in the previous verse. Okay? Yeah, that is the Vakya. Ekatvam hi atmanaha jneyam vakyartha pratipattihi. Therefore, from the vakyartha pratipattihi, the knowledge that is gained from the Vakya, what is that? Ekameva hi atmanaha. Aikyam. Atmanaha jivai isharayoho aikyam. I am not elaborating this here, it will come later. And we have already heard enough. I am speaking to students who have heard a lot of Vedanta from me. Therefore, certain things I am taking for granted, even though certain things I am going back to fundamentals. Clear up to now?
Swamiji, pratipatti means
Knowledge.
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 Knowledge?
Yeah. The understanding that is there. Yeah.
Understand.
So it's clear, even though we have done only one verse today, I think. Okay. Because this is background is necessary. Because next verse starts with a Purvapaksha. Next verse starts with a Purvapaksha. Yeah. So get the Paksha clear first, okay? And when that is clear, I want you all to think about all this. How the words reveal the meaning, all this that I touched upon today. Okay? If you notice in the classes that you have attended, each point on what I touched upon today, I have elaborated it very much. Okay? I want you all to think about that before you come for the next class. Okay? Word and its meaning and etc. All that thing. Yeah? And then we will go further in the next class. Om Tat Sat.